Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope we've got some comfortable chairs down here for you over these times. Look, negotiations are still going. I'll give my thanks again to the leadership in my 20 years of doing this, the professionalism and the cordial nature of this. But look, I'm not telling any of you or any Minnesotans we have the closest split in any legislature, maybe ever, with a tie in the House and one vote in the Senate, which means the details matter. And as we're trying to get to the final moments, and of course, the easy stuff gets done first and the harder stuff gets done last. It's the nature of deliberative bodies. I remain very, very optimistic. We have been saying all along this needed to get done. We have already blown through some of the gates that needed to be accomplished, and those become much more serious as we move closer towards July 1st. But I would say as of this afternoon, and we'll go right back in again, and have another round as we move forward on some of these last issues. I'm very optimistic that they're going to get there. And again, with a responsible budget for Minnesota that leaves money on the bottom line, that invests in the things that improve Minnesotans' life, and also make a major dent in the over-the-horizon 28-29 structural imbalance. And that was a hard ask, because that means that there's a lot of difficult decisions had to be made by a lot of folks, and they're making them. So with that, I'd take a few questions. I will say we are at a really critical and fragile time, so I want to be very careful of making sure I don't speak too far on these negotiations or right at the end.
How likely is this week for a special session? How likely is it to happen?
Look, yeah, Tom, and I want to, again, we've said where we thought we could be and we didn't get there. I have always viewed that the 19th was really important to get there. We blew through that. And then the June 1st, and I will tell you the one that I'm looking at now is that I'm obligated by the contracts with state workers on Monday morning to send out over 28,000 potential layoff notices. I think that causes great uncertainty for folks. I think it adds unnecessary chaos. So we're negotiating on this. It's still my desire, and this is a negotiated issue. I am one side of this this negotiation, that be a one-day session. So it means once we come out of this room and we come out together, we got a day to do it. So I would tell you it's my desire that this thing be buttoned up so I don't have to send out those notices.
So Saturday? That's what Speaker Emerita Hortman said.
Well, I think, yes, and I hear him talking about this, but I also hear folks like, and this is the thing about that, these are real people dealing with real things. I know we've got a funeral of one of the members' parents on Saturday. I had a graduation last night, an anniversary today. People are living their lives going through, but I think the desire is too, we've got a recognized holiday on Friday, so she's probably right, is that's what we need, because we'll need some time. The bills are almost finished up, which means we should have those all posted for people to see. I think transportation we were still waiting on, so that's the hope.
Aside from layoff notices, what are you having your state agencies do to prepare for a possible shutdown?
Yeah, they have the contingencies, and if we need, I don't want to have to get there, but we're ready for it. They actually have procedures that are all worked out about what that looks like on shutdowns. Obviously, the 24/7 operations, corrections, state patrol, those types of things continue to remain, but there's a sequence of events that start to happen. Those are all dictated by law and procedure. MMB starts to, and they've already pulled those things out and told the management to start getting ready to think about that. I don't believe we'll get there, but it is our responsibility to be prepared to do so. And what it would be a shrinking down, which of course would mean the services that Minnesotans count on would not be available when they need to. Gone through these things before, something, closing rest stops on our interstate highways and things. Those are things that you'd have to think about. What does that procedure look like?
What's your gauge for a special session? Is it revisers having drafted all the bills? Is it making sure that the votes are there for all these bills? Is it making sure there's not going to be filibustering so that it can happen quickly?
All those things. It's all those things, and those are part of an agreement. We have a template for this, and that they're working on that now. We're to that point where we are simultaneously buttoning up the last things and getting on this. We just handed out the template from the 2019 session of what the special session looked like. It was very good. It's agreed upon by all parties to make sure that special session has an order to it to get done what needs to get done. I think the good news is, as we said, the bills have been to the revisers. That's not going to be the part of it. So now we're negotiating, making sure there's no amendments to these bills, and then talking about the votes. When we're this close and the issues are this divisive, there's going to need to be an agreement on delivering votes.
What's it look like to get assurance from the Senate's Republicans on suspending the rules?
Yeah, that one I don't want to discuss because we're in negotiations on it.
What are some of the policy, I know you said you don't want to get really into the negotiations because they're fragile, but in terms of some of the policy sticking points still, we heard about transportation funding to the counties. We've heard about how the MinCare rollback for undocumented immigrants goes in. We've heard about non-competes. Like, what are some of these issues that are?
Yeah, you know what? And look, those are issues that are being discussed out there, but what is really challenging about this negotiation is it is everything. And it might have been a small non-cost provision that we could not agree on in the tax bill that impacts an individual legislator. We're at a point right now where quite candidly, and the legislators know this, and I'm not even saying it as a pejorative, every single legislator is potentially a veto over the whole deal to get some of this done. So it's all of those things. It's that's I think for Minnesotans, again, the thing I would say is this is chaotic, democracy is, but against the backdrop of what you see in D.C., this is the contrast to that. The Democrats, Republicans working together, we're finding compromises. They are going to have to, at times, you're going to be voting on things you don't necessarily like, and you're going to be voting on things that you get that the other side doesn't like. So I would say there's some big ones that get but it's more complicated than that. For some individual legislators, it may be something that's not really impacting everybody else in the same way it is them.
All right, we got to go back in there, Governor.
All right, take one more.
Real quick question. I recall in previous shutdowns, or potential shutdowns, transportation construction projects often need to start mothballing weeks in advance. Is that something that
They
you're
have
talking
not
about?
started those yet, but those are the plans that go into that. DOT has, over at MnDOT, they have their plans of where they need to go. We are not there yet because we are still basically, 28 days out on this. But those are things that are taken into consideration. And again, anytime you go through this, even the act of mailing out those notices cost money. And so I think the legislators are aware of that because this is a very fiscally thin and fiscally responsible budget. I don't think they want to do any more. So I can tell you, I'm confident we'll get this done. It's our responsibility to do that. If Minnesotans want to know, these legislators are working hard. They're doing it under incredibly tight margins, but they're doing it in goodwill. And we're going to get a good budget. I think we hope that it's in the next few days that this gets on.
Special operation on Lake Street yesterday.